Do you think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a...
It's going to go down in history there. This happened. It did make the official White House transcript of the press conference. The hot mic meltdown was triggered by a question about inflation from Fox News' Peter Doocy, and it marks a new low for President Biden, or high point, depending on who you ask. Biden did, however, call Doocy to apologize, telling him in part, quote, "It's nothing personal, pal."
But that didn't stop critics of Biden from resurfacing this old tweet from his World Press Freedom Day in 2020, where he said, quote, "In a Biden White House, there will be no bullying of the media from the press room, podium, or by tweet."
And Twitter users pulled this 2018 tweet of CNN's Brian Stelter from the archives, where Stelter called out then-President Trump for using the same language. His old tweet reads, calling a journalist a son of a bitch, I guess I can't say it. It was wrong when Trump was just a candidate, and it's even worse now that he's POTUS. And I think that's a clean hit, right? If you freaked out about that, and now you're like, haha, it's funny. Like, I don't... So Trump's, attacks on the media went too far, and it was way too sweeping and condemning. But the media people are there to be combative, and some being combative in turn is fair play and is fine. So people should not freak out, right?
Yeah, if you think it's crass, if you think it's impolitic, and that president should be talking that way, fine. Just be consistent. I mean, I saw Glenn Greenwald on Twitter yesterday with a mocking joke tweet about how this is horrible and this is the end of press rights in the country because Joe Biden said this. Obviously, he was joking, but pointing out the fact that people really did speak in those terms when Donald Trump said things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was funny personally. I don't feel like it's a huge attack. I mean, I figure, look, if you're going to, as long as the press is allowed to ask questions, right? I mean, as long as he's not prevented from asking these questions, then Biden is allowed to respond any way that Biden wants. And even though, this was supposedly sort of this hot mic, wasn't really supposed to be heard moment. I mean, he was essentially answering Peter Doocy's question. He was answering it with sarcasm, like, oh, yes, it's great. Because it was kind of a silly question for Peter Doocy to ask. Of course, inflation is a liability coming into midterms. Everybody knows it's the economy, stupid. So it was, so for Biden to be like, oh, yeah, it's a great asset, more inflation, Well,
and it's the inversion of the usual. These press conferences, usually, Jen Psaki's talk, answering her job is to just spin everything so it sounds nice. You had a press secretary job, Briahna. It's but there's a kind of fake performative. This is useless. Like they're trying to trip you, and you're not going to get tripped because you're a professional question answerer. So there's something kind of refreshing about these less scripted exchanges where the reporter says something to provoke the person, and the person is just like actually tells you what they think, and what they think is screw you. So
maybe this is why reporters only ask Biden about what flavor of ice cream he's eating, and it's because they don't want to trigger him into one of these moments where he might off the cuff say something that seems a bit crass, or call somebody, what was it that he called that one woman, like a pony, a dog-faced
pony soldier. He's creative. I'll give him that. Listen, fat. I mean, there's a whole dictionary it is at this point.
Listen, fat was the greatest non sequitur. Anyway, CNN's Jake Tapper came out in defense of Doocy while on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Kimmel had cheered Biden's remarks in his opening monologue. Much to his dismay, when he brought the topic to Tapper, he had a different response. Let's watch.
Is your life boring now that Donald Trump is the president?
No, the current president just called a reporter a dumb son of a bitch.
He did.
Happened today.
And I know you don't usually give out opinions, but that reporter, Peter Doocy, is he a dumb son of a bitch?
I don't think any president should be calling any journalist a dumb son of a bitch. And to be fair to Peter Doocy, the question was fairly anodyne. It was just will inflation...
He didn't technically call him a dumb son of a bitch. He was caught on microphone.
I mean,
saying he was.
It'd be like you calling me a dumb son of a bitch right now, caught on microphone. I mean, he was standing right in front of a microphone.
Right.
Yeah, well, and Tapper's right. That's correct.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was in the bathroom with the hot mic on, and having a conversation privately.
He was speaking into the mic.
Right. It's a real dumb son of a bee sort of a move on Biden's part, to be honest.
I
Yeah,
wonder
right.
if he.
It's like,
do you?
who is-
I mean, do you
who
know
is-
that? Does he like swear? I mean, so when I'm not on camera, I swear like a drunken sailor. I don't know if that's true, but it can be hard to go if you're on TV, if you're on camera a lot, versus, or even just versus other formats, like on podcasts or radio. You know, the rules for what you can say are different in each format, and sometimes you can forget what they are.
Biden has been in the public eye for like 69 years.
No, I'm not explaining what he, I wonder if he swear. I wonder if he swears a lot in his.
I bet
I
he
would
does.
imagine he does.
Imagine he does because he's an old
Yeah.
man. He's an old.
At least maybe he doesn't like drop F-bombs or anything crazy like that, but I would imagine he's swearing the way that he just swore, at this press conference, I would imagine.
Yeah, creatively. Malarkey, listen
Yeah,
fat.
right.
I gotta say, there's something about the combination of words, dumb son of a bee, that for some reason has enormous
It
comedic
was
value
stupid.
for me.
He said stupid son of a bee.
Excuse me, stupid son of a bee. Don't want to misquote the president. Delights me endlessly. Thank you for this one, Joe Biden, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, but it did trigger him. I mean, just to go to a greater point on this question is that this was a very triggering question because this is a huge problem for Biden. The inflation in the economy is going to be this is a lose-lose situation no matter what for the Democrats and for midterms and for even Biden's presidency. Either he's going to upset Wall Street or he's going to upset Main Street. It's one or the other. I mean, he could keep interest rates low and keep Wall Street happy with this run that they're on, or he could have, hope that or encourage Powell to raise interest rates, which would kind of start to lessen the inflation, but it would certainly lessen the run on Wall Street. So it's either his donors or it's, the people, and this is going to be a real complicated question for Democrats.
Are you trying to turn this into a serious discussion right now?
Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm
not
just
sure.
saying
I think we're
that's why
too
he was
burned out for
triggered.
this.
That's why he was triggered.
I think it's important for not just Biden's messaging, but for the truth of what's going on here to point out that inflation right now is being driven by the supply side crisis. And that at the end of the day, it is a lack of supply that is causing prices to raise as opposed to some of these other factors that are actually within Joe Biden's control. So if he wants to try to insulate himself from that somewhat, I think he should talk more about the fact that this is the kind of inflation crisis that we had, for example, in the 1970s, which around oil, which again was caused by a crisis in the Middle East that prevented access to the oil, not these other kinds of economic factors, not too much spending or printing money or any of the things that he's being blamed for actually injecting money into the economy when it was actually needed. And so if I were him, not that I'm doing press for Joe Biden by any stretch of the imagination, I would try to be more accurate and clarify exactly why we're in this mess to begin with.
I think it's all of it, though. I think this one is big, and it's all of it. I think all of it.
I think the spending is having some effect. You don't think it's having any effect. I think the spending is partly to blame.
Well, I recently
They've been doing
talked
it
to
for
an
a long
economist on my show about this very fact, and it was very edifying. I encourage you all to check that out if you're interested.
I will, actually.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well,
All right.
we'll not swear at our audience. We'll not. So Jen Psaki would have handled that with her. Well, thank you, Peter, for that question, and I would like to answer your question with another question, and spin into whatever. Biden is just you dumb son of a.
Look, when he's right, he's right.
Stupid son of a bee, guys. Come on, we got to get the quote right.
Stupid. Yeah. All right, we'll have more Rising right after this.